Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. This is the Awesomenauts Rumble Skolldir Showdown. With me once again is the wonderful Pyro Cheese. Pyro Cheese, are you hanging in there, my friend?
I'm doing just fine, hanging in there just fine so far. Anyway, we'll see how later on goes. But for now, having a good time casting this match. Some interesting players, some very, very good players. And just excited to be here, really.
Indeed. So our next match is Paulo versus Starsan. Two extremely experienced players. Before I get into them, I just want to remind everyone, you type who you think is going to win, basically. These guys are going to play exactly 2 matches. No matter what the outcome is, they're going to play 2 1v1s. And that means there's 3 possibilities. They each 2-0, or they tie. So, who's going to win? Is it going to be Paulo with a 2-0? Is it going to be Starsan with a 2-0? Or is it going to tie? What you can do is type what you think in the chat, and if you are correct, you will be entered into a giveaway for some Knots DLC. So that's all you got to do. You have until our first 1v1 gameplay begins. So you can't, bet in between, obviously. That would be incredibly unfair. But you do have some time right now. We're going to give y'all about another 30 seconds. I'm going to talk about these players really quick. Paulo needs no introduction. Won Alienware Awesome Cup 2. Got semifinals we got second place, on Alienware Awesome Cup 1. He won Awesome Brawl Weekly. He won Warzone Weekly. This guy is just a veteran of the competitive scene, and this tournament is just another paycheck in his pocket to him, just going in, doing his job. Starsan, he hasn't played competitive for years, but he used to be on an incredible team. He's played with Bets, he's played with Mr. Manager. He is hands down one of the top Skoldirs in the game after taking 3rd place last year in the Skolldir Showdown. He's back with a vengeance. He's been playing since the day the game came out. I'm pretty sure he has more Skolldir kills than anyone in this game. He posted a screenshot like last year of his Skolldir stats, and he had like over 20,000 kills. So this guy knows Skolldir. I think he's played an hour or 2 with the guy. I don't know if that's his main, but like. He probably owns like a Skolldir skin or something. Just saying. Pyro Cheese, who do you think's gonna win this one?
I don't know. Playing favorites with this kind of setup is definitely hard. Honestly, I have a lot more experience with Starsan than Paulo. I think he's just in the same matchmaking region. But every time I see Starsan Skolldir coming up in the match, regardless of what team he's on, it's always like, this is going to be at least a very, very interesting match, to say the very least. Because Starsan, at least, when it comes to standard Awesomenauts 3v3, he has a very unique style of playing Skolldir, in my opinion. The meta build is, always stun punch, maybe oily after that, but Starsan isn't afraid to shake it up from there. Like you said, he's very, very comfortable with Skolldir as far as how he plays, and different ways to play him as well. I've seen him several times go snare before stun, or like just go straight damage and still be able to competently go and get kills and things like that. Paulo, on the other hand, like I said, just a super veteran on the competitive scene as well as on the game scene in general. The times that I've come across him, it's definitely been scary. I honestly haven't seen his Skolldir too much. I think I've seen much more different nods from him than Starsan. Starsan, I know. When I think of Starsan, I think Skolldir. That's kind of how it is. When it comes to Paulo, I just think really fucking good player, but maybe not necessarily Skolldir. But, at the end of the day, these are 2 amazing players that are going to be facing off against each other. And we'll see how things go from there.
All right, well, let's get into the match, my friend. I am at the 12-second mark. Would you like to give us a countdown?
That sounds good. And then let's go in 3, 2, 1, go.
And we're off. And immediately they're going to trade Quakes. They're going to trade 3rd punches, but Quake is going to miss on Starsan. He's going in. He's getting a little bit more damage dealt right now. Actually, no, that's going to change as Paulo gets his own Quake off. And they're just going to be kind of fishing out for each other. So far, it looks like they kind of respect distance from each other a bit more than Esther and Body Hunter did. But Paulo had Starsan backed up into the corner there. Both players knew it. Starsan knew he didn't have that much options. He finds a nice throw, though, down into the mid. Tries to get that forehand on Paulo, but Paulo manages to retake mid. This is we didn't see this in the last 1v1s. Paulo is actually playing mid in a way where he's backing up Starsan into a corner. And I think that's, instead of just kind of going in and trying to, time his punches better, he's kind of playing the map a bit more, is what I've seen, just in this first minute. That's going to be a nice quick and throw at the same time using the animation canceling from Starsan. That was an excellent example of what you talk about, Starsan just knowing Skolldir. Like, that's the sort of thing that you could see a lot more in that play if you like slowed it down to like 10%. But the guy canceled his Quake into throw to reduce the frame so that he got the jump on Paulo. Now look at Paulo again, just getting bodied here. I'm sorry to say it, but you know, he does have the it just wasn't a good situation to be in. And he might manage to tie it back up. Starsan gonna land on the mine. Very unfortunate. It's a nice stun punch there. At 2-2, both players pretty much full health, a little bit less. Now it's gonna go even. Oh, but Paulo again. Like, okay, I feel like Starsan hasn't fully like gotten the full paradigm of how Paulo is trying to back him into the corner as we're seeing here. Like, do you think that like that whole way of thinking, okay, he's taking mid to push me back, is going through Starsan's mind? Like, what's he trying to do right now?
I think that Paulo is definitely doing, as you just said, you know, trying to take control of mid, even that doesn't really apply here, but it does in the sense that map control on this sort of a map and on this just 1v1 in general, being able to control the spacing and the timing from there on Skolldir is, like I said from the beginning, super vital. And this is a little bit more akin to what I expected to be the Skolldir Showdown in general, or at least, you know, play styles I expected to see, you know, a little bit more patience, a little bit more spacing, much more in the vein of being like hyper aware almost of your enemy's rhythm, your own rhythm, and to seeing what you can do to accommodate that. And that looked almost like it was going to be a kill on Starsan, but able to escape a little bit. Paulo is still going to be able to pick up that kill on him, though.
Dude, and these players, they're oh, that's gonna be just a nice throw. Starsan times his throws really well. A lot of players I think of throw as this thing that you set up, like you get the Quake off, or oh my gosh, that's just unfortunate. His jump got consumed and he wasn't able to recover his jump before he got thrown off. You know, he wasn't able to even like nick a platform. So that is just bad luck, to be honest.
Yeah, that really was.
But gosh, I lost my train of thought now. Like Starsan, he doesn't need setup on his throws. Like most people are like, okay, I stunned or snared him, so I can go in now and hit that throw. Starsan is just like, I'm gonna go in, and once I'm in range of them, while dodging all their stuff, like that is when I can hit throw. I know the situations where I can hit the throw in. Like he doesn't like need the setup, you know what I mean? And like it really paid. Like he gets a lot of nice prediction throws all the time. Like he doesn't.
Yeah,
he doesn't stun punch Quake. Oh, sorry, go ahead, man.
No, I was gonna say there's been a couple times, like I said, Starsan doesn't really need that much setup. You know, in regular 3v3s, like I said, he plays Skolldir very differently. I've seen him on several occasions go without stun punch almost entirely, or at least not until so early as people usually would get it. And like right there, you know, he predicted it right there. He didn't need a third punch to set that one up. He didn't need a Quake. He just kind of read the player and, you know, acted accordingly to that. There's been a couple occasions this match specifically where I've seen Starsan either time a throw from the other jump pad, or I should say where Paulo gets on a jump pad and he's be able to land a throw just from that arc, that very fast arc, or, you know, likewise Starsan going on that and still being able to time a throw nicely from his own momentum on that. So like you're saying, he doesn't need the exactly the same setup as a lot of other players seem to depend on when it comes to Skolldir, which, you know, it just comes down to how damn comfortable Starsan is as a Skolldir player overall.
Indeed, and that was a very unfortunate whip. It looks like that was just pixels off from Starsan, so that's just gonna some free blood there. Now Paulo's in a bad situation. He's actually getting spawn trapped here. He's trying to find the throw. That's gonna be 2 whiff throws in a row. That's just gonna give Starsan all the freedom in the world to just go in as much as he wants. Not much Paulo can do after he whiffed the throw again, and now he's looking for another spawn prediction. One thing I think he could have done there is that okay, so he did that Quake, and then Paulo was like, okay, it's safe to you know, to spawn now. I would like to see someone bait someone into the throw. Oh my gosh, is he gonna recover? Okay, he is, but I'd like to see someone bait them into a spawn by using a Quake, and then just like you like Quake, then act like you give up, and then just immediately just predict the throw and hope they actually are spawning at that moment. And if you got a throw like that, that would be so hilarious and savage.
Yeah, that would be
that tournament.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, there's still a lot of the tournament to go, but at the same time, I think that's kind of an interesting dynamic. You know, you were talking about earlier about mind games and things like that. I think the spawning mind game is definitely something to be aware about, just because, you know, obviously there's only one spawn point for the other teammate, so or not teammate, the other opponent. So, you know, to be able to either predict that or to try to do something to accommodate that is definitely interesting. I know when I played 1v1 against my friends on this map, that was a huge component of what we were doing. You know, mostly jokingly, it was like, oh, why are you spawn camping? But it is, you know, at the end of the day, a legitimate strategy, especially for something like this, where the intent is that you know where the opponent is going to spawn, so you can go ahead and do with that. And that is going to be it for this match as well.
Yeah, it's gonna be Starsan taking the lead. You know, Paulo just didn't really have much he could do after those 2 whip throws. It kind of just became the Starsan's. That's where he got into that situation where like you couldn't really afford his. Like, if you think of, again, like, the damage you deal, like, comes at a cost of your own HP, like, there just wasn't any trade-offs that were worth it, because he had so much room to go. Like, that's the snowball mechanism. Every Awesomenauts mode has a snowball mechanism. The mechanism of this is that you almost have to think of your HP as, like, something that you spend to deal damage to them, because it's so hard to actually deal damage to the other Skolldir without taking some of your own. And if they basically have a lot more wiggle room, you know, they have a lot more points than you, then they can afford to be a lot more luxurious with their HP, while yours, you actually have to be pretty frugal with. And I think that's the exact situation that Paulo got in. We were talking about the spawn games. I think, like, at first glance, you might think, oh, you always spawn in the exact same location? That's lame. I think it adds an amazing dimension to these 1v1s, though, because it adds so many mind games, as you said. You know, there's the basic stuff like trying to, you know, predict when someone's gonna spawn. You know, that can also, on the reverse side, anytime that a prediction element is there, on the flip side of it, there's going to be the baiting element. And then there's things like, for example, if you just spawned, or if you just died, do you want to spawn right away because maybe you know that the other player is on cooldown? Or, you know, you just want to just go in as fast as you can before they regen? Or do you want to take your time? Like, there's just so many different questions to consider that I honestly think knowing when to spawn is not like, oh, you just have to, you know, avoid the spawn kill. It's not like this living thing that you have to deal with. It's a skill in itself, is how I truly feel about it.
No, it definitely is. That's how I consider it, because, you know, going back to one of the other things I said, Skolldir is so heavy on rhythm. Once you get that feel for a rhythm, and, you know, one of the things that I feel like Starsan is able to play around with without needing that setup, once you get into that rhythm, it's very, very easy to have that read to a certain extent. You know, it's hard to respond to it as well, but when it comes to those kinds of spawn kills, I mean, you know, you can see them hanging around your spawn in this map. You know, you can see them, what the rhythm is on the third punch. You could very easily just say, 1, 2, 3, okay, now I'll spawn because his third punch is gone, you know, or at the same time, he just blew his cooldown. Maybe I'm going to spawn right now, or maybe I'm going to wait a little bit more. And we did see that a little bit on one of, I believe, Paulo's, or I think it was Paulo's spawn, where Starsan was kind of, you know, over on his side trying to see that prediction, and he blew, I think, maybe both of his cooldowns, definitely his Quake. I know that he burned right there. And, you know, Paulo took that as an opportunity to say, all right, he's at least down an ability. That's a good opportunity because I'm going to come in full health, both abilities ready to go, and that'll be at least an advantageous start to the specific bouts right now. Going back into that rhythm and having a little bit more control, throwing some monkey wrenches into that rhythm just so you can get a little bit of an edge when it comes to this Skull 1v1 tournament.
Indeed. Anyways, I think we should get into the second match, my friend. What do you think?
That sounds like a good idea.
All right. Give me one moment. Still loading it up here. Almost done. Do you think that Paulo's gonna be able to make the comeback from here? Is the question, though. Is he gonna be able to apply the lessons learned?
I am not sure, honestly. It's kind of difficult to say. You know, in that first match with Body Hunter against Edster, there definitely was lessons to be learned. You know, aggression, being passive, learning a little bit of the timings. Sorry, just laughing at something that's in chat. But when it comes to this, I think it's actually really, really difficult for Paulo to respond to Starsan overall. Like I said, he is very, very comfortable when it comes to Skolldir, and, you know, like we mentioned before, Starsan is very, very comfortable when it comes to not needing that specific setup. And Paulo has been very good about not needing setup as well, you know, just going for throws when he sees the opportunity. But I think with that, there isn't much to learn about their playstyle other than that each of the players has a lot in their tool belt, you know. It's very easy to say, oh, he's really dependent on his third punch, avoid the third punch or respond to the third punch by maybe hanging out on platforms and, you know, holding down the down key just so that he might miss his throw in that case, things like that. But I think it's really difficult to respond to either of these players when it comes to that. I don't think there's much to learn, honestly.
Right. Well, let's see if they can prove us wrong. I am at the 12-second mark. Would you like to give us a countdown?
Well, that sounds good. Let's go ahead and begin in 3, 2, 1, go.
And we're off. Starsan gonna be on the red team this time. That was a questionable throw. I'm not sure if that was hitboxes or lag or a combination of both, but he threw him underneath him right away. Is that a thing?
It might be a thing. I mean, Skolldir's throw hitbox is always a little bit uncanny in some ways. I know that it's always directly like horizontal is where it begins, and it actually does arc up. So, you know, I've seen it in some cases where this hitbox is directly above Skolldir still, so it kind of has that like quarter circle kind of hitbox, at least from what I understand. At the same time, Paulo, at least in the circles that I run in, is pretty notorious for being a little bit of a laxer, and like on the other hand, in this case, I would assume that Starsan is a bit of a laxer to Paulo. Oh, and that's going to be a throw off the edge. Not able to make that jump pad, unfortunately.
Indeed, and so far, I feel like, you know, Paulo's skill was more or less just kind of the trade-off of Starsan's skill again, using your HP to bite damage. I feel like Starsan is kind of controlling the bounce a bit more. I actually want to say he had either Paulo's tilting a little bit more or Starsan has adapted to his style, but you don't really see Paulo doing the back Starsan up into a corner tactic that he was previously doing. You know what I mean?
Right. I guess that is one thing to know, like that I didn't think about actually. That might be something for either of the players to learn, that Paulo was a little bit more dependent on the controlling mid strategy, and it was a fairly good strategy. It didn't work out for him in the end, unfortunately. But, you know, map control is very, very important on such a short map like this, and when Skolldir has pretty good control over the what space he's in, as well as what space the other player consumes too. And that's going to be tying it up 2v2, so going to be an interesting match so far. Oh, and that's going to be a throw right off the edge for Paulo right there. That's unfortunate.
It just might have been the sort of the break that he needed to try and take this match this time. Oh, nice throw. He's taking a lot of damage, but yeah, Starsan's going to find the third hit right there on the recoveries, and that was enough damage. I kind of wonder, is Paulo going to like live with 1 HP then style? If he had like a tiny fragment more HP there, I think he would have survived that punch and then been in a situation where he could have done something sick. But, oh well, you know, can theory craft for days.
Yeah,
there's the throw. That's gonna be a nice clean kill. He's actually dying for DOT. They've tried to find the.
It might be both of them. No, Starsan's actually gonna make it out with just barely enough. Medican coming in clutch right there. Oh, but that's gonna be a flying gnome kill from Paulo.
I was watching the DOT tick on Starsan. He went down to 19 HP and then back to 68 when he lived. Like, that's how close that was.
It's kind of interesting to note because on a kind of like a technical level, players only actually die when they reach negative health. So there's been a couple of occasions during replays where I've seen certain players go to literally 0 health but still make it out, and, you know, Medican or just you know, inherent regen from the game itself just pulling it through, taking them up to any kind of positive HP. So it's kind of interesting to know.
Paulo did something very interesting there. I'm pretty sure he just let himself get thrown. He walked up to Starsan. He didn't do anything. Then when Starsan went to follow up with his oily, Paulo threw him off the sides, which gave him his oily and also, you know, cut short the time of Starsan's oily. It didn't work out for him. He didn't end up dying in that exchange, but I'm pretty sure that was his mentality. Let himself be thrown so that he can counter throw and have the advantage in positioning and oily. Like, I thought if that's what he was doing there, that was actually really smart. And like, maybe not like obviously, you know, he lost the exchange, but like, just like to have that idea, I think is just sick, to be honest. That's the sort of play that you have to know that you're good and be confident in yourself in order to make. And just the fact that he would try that, I think, was just incredibly savage, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah, that's definitely one way to describe it. And you're right, it is kind of an interesting way. You know, like I said, when it comes to this, it is mostly about throwing monkey wrenches into the situation. So that kind of changes the dynamic. You know, the standard procedure would be to get some kind of initiation from there, but to let yourself be initiated on definitely changes the dynamic outright to maybe be at an advantage right there, because, you know, even if they do technically get the initiation on you, you are still in control of the situation in that case, just because you're expecting that, you know, the prediction. So it may not be necessarily the other player walking into a trap or anything like that, but you do know what's about to come next in that situation, which when it comes to any kind of 1v1, but especially Skolldir 1v1s, that's vital in my opinion.
No, I completely agree with that. And the kills are kind of even right now. The damage is actually getting even. Starsan might, yeah, he's going to get the last hit there. I think Paulo can definitely do this, though. I think he can definitely make this series a tie. Just gonna get him beat up right there. There it is. Now, this is anyone's game. Just a sliver of more HP, but Starsan's gonna find the Quake. They're gonna find the Quake. They're gonna have a double throw. Oh my gosh, they're both finding the third punches off of the jump pad. That was just
graceful, really.
Do they both die here? Tell me they both die.
Oh, that was going to be really close, though. That third punch would have killed Paulo, as well as still killing Starsan. Unfortunately, I don't think the heal punch would have saved him from that punch. Oh, and it's 9v9 right now, it appears, so that's going to be an interesting turnout to see what happens here.
That is definitely... Starsan's got the positioning advantage. He doesn't have the health advantage, though. Paulo can't get greedy here, though. Like, I talk about exchanging the HPs, like, you know, spinning HP on damage. You can't do that too much in this situation. Now the HP is almost completely identical. Just a slight advantage to Paulo. One third punch from Starsan, like, tilts it completely in his favor. Like, just... Oh my gosh. You can, like, tell, like, these players don't want to screw this up, but he's gonna fight it, and there's gonna be the throw in... Wait. It is Paulo. It doesn't even update. It just goes to the victory.
Yeah,
that's how close the match is when the game is over and the casters don't know who won.
So that's when you know it's a good match right there.
Indeed. So the results of this particular set is like the last one, believe it or not, is going to be a tie, 1-1. That was just a... No,
that was a nail biter right there.
It was the point of the mirror. At the point where, like, there was like a good solid 10 seconds where they were just literally symmetrical in everything that they did. That's when you realize, like, I have no clue who's winning this until it's actually won, and it was just like absolutely like, holy crap, you know?
Yeah, like you said, it was in the very, very last kill, that kind of like last little bout. Paulo did have the health advantage, but that quickly turned around to be effectively even, or at least to the point where a single combo would have killed either of them, really. And that's what it came down to, you know, just a quick reaction from Paulo right there to get all the damage from throw. I mean, this is max damage throw, so, you know, that's no joke right there. The punches are a lot of damage, level 20 max damage throws. That's going to be quite a number on them, no matter how much health you have. But yeah, it's very, very interesting match. Maybe one of the more exciting ones that we're going to see today. But either way, very, very good to see these two players duke it out and end up in a tie. Actually, very, very interesting.
Indeed. So with that said, we are going to take a short break and come back with our next set. Do not go anywhere, my friends.